Hi, Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times on Monday, January 15th, back from some days in the sun in the Caribbean. Well, today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day in Arkansas and the rest of the country, which means it's a public holiday, not a lot of official news going on. Donald Trump, the president, said people should do acts of community service today in tribute to King's memory. He played a round of golf at one of his resorts. Tom Cotton was among many Republicans issuing quotes that came from the mouth of Martin Luther King. Cotton chose to choose one about opening the doors of opportunity for all children, regardless of race, creed, national origin, or anything else. Well, as you know, Tom Cotton doesn't open those doors to people from just any country or children of brown and black colored skin and people with Muslim religion heritages. Perhaps he's the hypocrite of the day, I think. Leslie Rutledge also talked about equal rights. And in the words of Martin Luther King, she's an attorney general who's fought against equal rights for women in medical cases, for immigrants, for people of minority sexual orientations. The hypocrisy abounded. Asa Hutchinson today wrapped himself in King as well. He rightly can claim credit for signing the law that established today as a holiday only for Martin Luther King. Arkansas no longer embarrasses itself as being among 4 states that duly observe the day in honor of Robert E. Lee, as well as a past tribute to segregation. However, he too supports laws that are resegregating the schools, that restrict access to the vote by people of color, and that also otherwise discriminate against people of sexual minorities in Arkansas. So we've got a lot of things to improve. We haven't exactly overcome just yet, you might say, but we did end Lee Day, and there is that. The state also announced today that it had joined a Southern coalition to promote the Civil Rights Trail. This is a tourism development agenda that promotes landmarks to the civil rights movement across the South, and also in Kansas, where Brown v. Board of Education, of course, made law in 1954. Arkansas has several sites to visit, most particularly Central High School, where federal troops brought about the desegregation of that high school in 1957. 60 years later, it's almost all black, and the state education agenda is increasing segregation in the Little Rock School District, not decreasing it, so there's that. One more civil rights note. There was a news story out of Kansas today that said a junior college basketball team that played in Harrison last week got racial taunts, monkey calls, and crow calls and the like from crowd at a Harrison Junior College, North Arkansas College, because their players are mostly black on both the men's and women's teams. Harrison has a pass as a sundown town, a place where black people are warned not to be seen on the streets after sundown, and it has a hard time living it down. A lot of people there are trying hard to change their image. The fans of the basketball team aren't helping them very much. News today out of West Virginia says that yet another state requiring drug testing of recipients of public welfare has proved to be an inefficient failure. They're spending a lot of money to find out that almost nobody on public assistance uses drugs, a percentage far lower than that of the general population. A limited experience with this in Arkansas showed the same thing. We spent $35,000 to find 2 people tested positive for drugs on Arkansas public welfare rolls, but we decided to expand that test more anyway. Perhaps we ought to drug test legislators and recipients of corporate welfare and see how well they do staying off marijuana and other drugs. Speaking of marijuana, the Associated Press reports today, in the wake of news that Pennsylvania has become among the states with legal medical marijuana. A reminder, federal law doesn't allow people who use marijuana, even for legal medicinal purposes, to own guns, much less use them. So in theory, when Arkansas has its medical marijuana law, those who have prescriptions for medical marijuana are going to have to get rid of their guns. In practice, whether prosecutors will enforce any of those laws is another matter. The big news in Arkansas today, well, snow is in the forecast, and you know how that causes runs to grocery stores and people to stay glued to the TV. Looks like maybe only about an inch in Little Rock, but that could be a lot or a little depending on how it falls. We're watching the skies. I'm back. I'm Max Brantley. That's it for today. Resist.